I had to look up his name, Robert Monroe or Bob. He's a he's a I forgot exactly what he is. I know he's like a historian, but he's also among other things too. And he wrote several books about his experiences with astral projection. And you could look him up on YouTube. He has well, at least someone is reading from one of his books about his experience, and he mentions about how he came across or was told these. Well, he's seen these entities that basically they feed off of the energy, the loose energy that is being produced by humans, by animals. Um, it's like when you think about what they're doing as far as like gang stalking, and then also um, there's a part about secret society that I gotta um, matter of fact I'll just put it in the description um because it all basically it's all coming together, like all the pieces are coming together to make one big picture. But basically there are entities that are not necessarily human, and they're not even necessarily well, they're not human at all, but then there's these, and they're not, like they walk among us here on earth, but at the same time um you wouldn't necessarily know what they look like because they, basically take on human form, or they basically have possession of a human vessel. Right now, I know this is, like I already told you, I don't necessarily know how true all this stuff is, but there is a mass crazy amount of information that a lot of people really, that we all really don't know. I mean, like recorded history, much of history has been, kind of what's the word? Much of history has been suppressed or hidden from much of the global population. And what was said in these videos, that the main controllers, the main um let's say the main ones who are watching over the production of loose energy in on earth, are the ones who basically control like the central banks. They control, just about all countries' militaries. They basically control, they're the ones who are piloting, the whole New World Order agenda. And, one video was about loose energy, and it said something about loose energy and Dr. Um, Yuval Noah Harari. And the guy was reading from some, he was reading from some I think I'm just actually going to post all these videos in the description, so then you can go over it yourself too. um but yeah, this guy was reading from some, from like I think two of Dr. Harari's books, Sapien, and I forgot what the second one is. And when you think about the transhumanist agenda, right? The transhumanist agenda is basically decreeing that original human beings are, like, we're too behind. I guess when you think about in the universe of, compared to other beings, because there's all this like recorded history of several other civilizations and entities that are far more advanced than human beings. Then you got, then you have then you actually have people who may be human or may not be human, who are claiming that, we need to evolve. We need to evolve. Being in these vessels, not really understanding what the human spirit is and stuff. Um, we need to grow past that. We need to evolve. So when you think about the transhumanist agenda is basically to take everything that makes you human and remove it and replace it with technology, replace it with something that can be remotely controlled. And it's funny because as I'm saying all this, they got this light energy frequency that's it's just like beaming right through the crown of my head. It's just beaming. So, but at the end of the day, I got to keep going. So I don't worry not what they do unto the flesh, for if they kill the body, there's nothing more they can do. So I got to keep going, regardless of what they're saying, regardless of whatever neighbors, friends, associates, family, all those who are a part of the secret society. Regardless of what they're doing, I gotta stand by God, the one who actually created all of them. So I can't turn against God, because if I feel like it's wrong, then I have to stand my ground that it's wrong. And there's been a couple of things transpiring here. And which I'm calling my sister. She hit me up and she was like, "Yeah, some of my relatives, they were in the group text that I happen to not be in, and that neither I or my mother was in, and for whatever reason there was a conversation of oh, somebody was thinking maybe they should maybe they should actually change the location of the Christmas dinner to somebody else's house, right? But then my mom, she's so gung-ho, and like she's like buying up all these supplies, and trying to get the house together. She's like trying to rush herself, trying to do all these different things. And for the most part, um if they were to actually had just changed their mind last minute, mind you, I already have my theories, but I can't, you know, you gotta be very, very, um, I gotta maintain my peace about this. So I'm not the type to really confront anybody on anything that they really doing. Quite honestly, you're going to mess up, and I'm going to see it happen. And when you mess up, I'm gonna just look at you with the look on my face that's basically going to say, "I told you so." Because you got to remember, anyone who learns to master their peace, they are moving on like a godlike frequency. If you learn to master your peace and master control of your vibrational energy, you are moving on this planet and in this universe on a totally different plane. And the thing about Loosh energy is the way these entities have this system set up. They are basically employing and rewarding other human beings who are slowly transitioning from not into non-human beings. They are rewarding them for actually increasing the production of Loosh energy. So, like, when you think about how gang stalking works, it's entirely based on creating stress, making someone angry, making someone feel depressed, making someone feel demoralized. Like, the whole idea behind gang stalking and behind the harassment of secret societies and stuff is literally right in line. I mean, it's not even parallel. They're basically singular. It's right in line. It's right in line with what the definition of Loosh energy farms. Loosh energy farms. Well, Earth is considered a Loosh energy farm, but it's right in line, like a singular line, like they're together. There's not even like a parallel. No, they're together. It's like right in line. That it's all about producing energy to feed something else that we actually can't see. And if you believe in spirits, if you believe in ghosts, or you believe in you just let's just say you believe that we are not the only entities in this whole universe. I think anyone who believes that humans are the only entities in the entire universe, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. But so and then it's like when I think about these loose when I think about what I was hearing about loose farms, and I think about what is entailed when it comes to like gang stalking or harassment by secret societies, and secret societies has always been tied into Luciferianism and stuff like that. So um because I mean, well, look at what they do. They create they create traumas, they create events, they create mayhem, so then they can basically be the ones to well, so-called provide a solution. They create the problem, so and then let the problem basically induce enough fear and panic into everyone that's not a part of them, because apparently they already know how everything's going to work out. So, or at least they believe they know how everything's going to work out. And then when enough people get panicked and whatnot, then they miraculously pop up with a solution. Think about the pandemic. I ain't going to say the C word, but think about the pandemic, right? If you know and read the documents, the military documents, the grant proposals, all these things, they've been working on they've been working on COVID since like 2017, probably earlier than that. They've been experimenting with that virus with them bats in Wuhan, China, for years before it really went full fledged in 2020, right? Because they was letting they those were actually like those were wild bats. They were allowed to leave the caves. They were allowed to, go out and feed at night and things like that. And they kept altering the genes of those bats, and they were spraying the aerosolized, you know, what is it, the aerosolized virus, um, into the caves and stuff where they would nest at, and then allow them to fly out and just basically, I mean, they're flying creatures, so you know what? They're peeing, defecating, everywhere. But anyway, so they created this pandemic, right? And then miraculously, and what normally takes years for a patent to come out, they just created these vaccines almost like out of thin air, right? So you think about everything else that's transpiring, right? They are, and you look at the type of people that they get to, that they recruit into this system. Now, mind you, depopulation is still very real. And depopulation is still very, very real. And they're not even close to the numbers that they're looking to actually be at when it comes to depopulation. Not enough people died. Not enough people died. So they got some other things up in the works. But they got to keep creating more and more situation, or they got to keep creating more and more, let's call them viruses and diseases or natural disasters and things like that, because we still got the heart stations, so they got to keep creating these things until they get to a specific number. Um, yeah, so it's like a lot of pressure. It's like all the pressure is here. Like it's like all right here. And there's like you can feel the heat. Like you can actually feel the heat going up here. Like it's a beam of heat in a single form. Like it's like a beam. It's a beam of heat and like magnetic energy, and it's going up in this direction. Now, I mean, well, in New York, you can't really see nothing up there, but I mean, because it's so bright here. But I guess maybe in another city or something like that, or a town or whatever, where there's not so many bright lights from buildings and whatnot, probably you might be able to see uh, where they're basically triangulating from. But you know what? Them satellites, they're so far out it's so far out from in the in the orbit that you probably couldn't see them with the naked eye anyway. You'd have to actually um backtrack or trace where these signals are coming from. But anyway, yeah, so yeah, when you think about what handlers are basically, if you're being targeted, they are the ones to keep you producing loose energy. That's why whenever you start to raise your vibrations and they start to attack you more, that's because you're not producing the loose energy that's needed. So because it's a farm. We're basically like cattle for a species that we probably would never see with our naked eye. We probably know their presence. We probably feel their presence, every so often, but we wouldn't know anything about what they look like, with our naked eye. They'll probably look like humans anyway. But I mean, hell, it's just like the film They Live. Like, um, and you gotta remember, Lucifer, the devil, he's not necessarily going to look like what you would think. I've been through this. Lucifer's not going to look like some like beast with with two horns and a tail or whatever. No, he's going to look just like a human being, but he's going to have so much wealth, so much power and control over everything. He's going to be like a major influencer over just about everything that most people, you know, uh, depend on to, try to survive in this world. But anyway, so yeah, and the V2K handlers, they're all like in my head saying like, oh, your family don't even want to be around you or whatever and stuff like that. And I'm like, you know what? For the most part, they ain't gotta be secretive about it because they know what I be posting. They know what I'm posting. They know what I'm talking about. Most of them do. I'm never going to confront nobody because no one would ever want to, actually tell me anything because, they're supposed to be secretive about it. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. But I'll still sit here and eat this piece of cornbread, and I will have right there on the shelf of my mind that I know you're a part of it, and you know what's happening to me and my mother. You know everything that's happening. And then to some degree, it's like, I get it. You're trying to save yourself, and I get it. You realize it's an enemy with a lot of resources, a lot of connections, you know, you're in fear of your life, so you're just doing what you need to do so that you can survive, or at least live a life with at the least amount of I guess like they're just trying to live their life with the least amount of um confrontation as possible. I get it. But you know what? I believe in God though. So, and I'm like, regardless of, regardless of, you know, whether you want to believe in religion or just spirituality, you gotta take heed to the fact that we are energy beings. Love is a frequency. It's a measurable frequency, just like hate. Peace is a measurable frequency, just like um just like what's I don't know I don't know peace, and then, well, you know what I'm trying to get at. If all those are literal measurements of energy that we can emit and radiate from our body, that means there is a source that had basically created all of those emotions, right? There is a source that created all of those emotions. And for all of the hate that they're trying to push and produce in this world, that lets you know there has to be a God. There has to be um, spiritual entities that promote, or that are defenders of everything that is of high vibration. Like, there are entities of low vibration, there are entities of high vibration. We as human beings, we have to learn, or we have to unlearn and detox ourselves from the world that is basically transitioning us from natural energy beings to these synthetic, um inanimate, well, not inanimate, but these synthetic, controlled, doped up beings that they're turning us into. No, well, I mean, at some point, most people that we see on the everyday, they're not going to be human anymore. They're actually they're going to be human like. They're not going to be human. They're going to be human like. Because trust and believe, with one upgrade, every time you know, there's going to be upgrades. They're going to have to be continuously getting upgraded. And with every upgrade, I kid you not, with every upgrade, there's going to be some adverse effect that's going to work against their body and their spiritual energy. Because while they are still in their flesh body, they still have a soul. While they're still in their flesh body, they still have a soul. So, from what I can gather right now, a majority of the world are transitioning themselves to leave humanity. Like, they are actually transitioning they're transitioning themselves to leave the idea of being human, and technology is being used as the fastest way of doing so. I'm still working on this stuff. Like I said, I'm no expert at any of this. anything that I learned or I come into, come into awareness of, I'm basically just bouncing ideas off of you, and then whenever you comment, I'll I'll speak with you. I know there's some people who comment, and like, I don't know, some of the things that I'm reading, I'm just like, that's just, I don't know where you at, but that's just way out there for me. But yeah, it's always been about power and control, and for the most part, um, we are being used to produce low vibrational energy so that these other entities can feed off of us. There is like I believe that God created humans specifically different from every single other entity that could be living not just on earth but in the universe. There is something very special about us. But I'm gonna put in the description section of the videos I watched. So then, I guess you could take your time and you can watch the same videos. And none of them are really long. They range anywhere between 2 minutes to 22 minutes, but nothing too long. But yeah. I mean, just think about it. The idea of actually wanting the idea of actually wanting to control another human being. The idea of wanting to control another human being. How much of your life are you paying attention to that you would rather spend a majority of your energy and time controlling another person? You're not even, you're like, it's like, are you actually living your life, or is controlling another person's life, is that your life? Is that how you plan to live your life? Is that what you want to do? Instead of you focusing your time, your energy, and your attention on yourself. And it's kind of interesting because when you think about the people who are targeting us, they seem like the type of people that can't, well, they're the type of people that can't deal with criticism. They're the type of people that hate being criticized. They're the type of people that hate being pointed out for their immoral actions or anything like that. You know, like they're like the type of people that you know, like if they were to basically, you know, steal something from a small little stand, and you say, "Hey, don't do that." You see, they don't make that much money, and we give that back to them. And then they'll get mad because you know because you called them out on it. But it's like, motherfucker, don't you realize that person is not that much more? They don't make that much more money than you. Why would you take from them? And y'all damn near in the same situation. It's like it's those type of things, right? And when you think about how this game stalking stuff is working, right? They're going after other people that are like middle class and down. They're not doing this to rich and wealthy people. They're not doing this to them. And then when it comes to those who are in the entertainment industry, and they're being targeted. Kanye, a great example. Kanye is a great example. Anytime someone who is in the world and they was of the world, then all of a sudden they I guess they just got they got tired of seeing what they were seeing, because it seems like the more money you make, the more weirder things get when you get around other people who make a good deal of money. And it's like, and there's several celebrities out there that's talked about the things that goes on, the more money that you make and you go to these different parties and stuff, whether it's pedophilia or it's some type of other like weird things that go on, and the type of sex trafficking, and I mean there's all kinds of things that go on up there when you make that money and you start being around certain people. At some point, I don't know, maybe you develop a conscience and you realize like, nah, this is wrong. Like, this is wrong, and I need to correct myself. I need to correct my spirit. I need to correct my soul, because um my it's like at some point your light energy being is going to get contacted by, whether it's other high vibrational beings, or it's going or God, itself. And your energy being is going to get contacted, and then you're going to realize that like you need to change if you want to save your eternal self. Because remember, energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transferred, or probably broken down small, but not actually destroyed. It can either be transferred or consumed, something like that. I forgot how it goes. But energy can't be destroyed. So think about it like this. All these people that are basically devoting their time, energy, and attention into trying to destroy those who are loving, genuine, honest, morally sound um people, they're actually killing any chance that they could have to actually live in eternal peace, because the flesh is only going to last but so long. The human body is only going to live but so long. But your soul, your energy is still going to live past your body. But you have to get sent somewhere. If you don't go either to hell or heaven, or whatever other religions may call these other places, then you might get stuck in some place like Earth. You might get stuck here, but in a totally different dimension that will feel like a prison, where you will not be able to interact with anything. You'll just be roaming. You'll just become a spirit that's just roaming with no peace, no nothing. You're just constantly roaming. And you're alone. So I don't know. I'm still working on it. And like I said, I'm already, they're all like, oh, he doesn't realize we're a secret society. He needs to stop talking about da 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 da. First and foremost, I'm gonna say it once more. I didn't give a damn what anybody was doing over westward. Just don't mess with my peace. I will respect you. I won't, I'm not the type of person that is confrontational. I rather avoid confrontation as best as I can. I don't have fights. I don't even like to verbally argue with people. The moment I realize someone's not seeing my side, I say, okay, and I let it go. If they want to believe they're right, I let them believe they're right. But what they're basically doing, specifically talking about, the people who hacked my system, they're constantly always saying, oh, he be talking about people. But if I'm like, let's say, in the privacy of my own home, or I'm having a conversation with someone, Or if I'm walking down the street and I see someone doing something that looks weird or whatever, and I'm like, that's some why is he doing it? That's weird. They'll follow up, with their transmission saying, "See, look, he talking about people." This is their mentality. They're actively, I mean, actively looking for things that will upset them. What healthy human being actively looks for things that will upset them? And they're like, "Oh, he don't have no respect for secret society." Why would I? Why would I want to join anything that actively looks for things that to upset them? Why would I want to be a part of anything that actively tries to take people who are non-combating, non-violent, confrontational people and try to change things about them, even at a molecular level, that will turn them from the non-violent, peaceful, non-confrontational types of people and change them into someone that just becomes aggressive, mad, angry, overly sexual, or whatever the case. Why would I want to be and I'm getting chills as I say that. Why would I want to be a part of something that actually creates and produce in mass quantities the very same energy that is destroying humanity to this very day? Why would I want to be a part of something like that? And then they're like, he don't realize there's a lot of. They've been saying that for some, and that's one of the most annoying things. I used to think that one of the most annoying things they would say is he has no idea, but I've learned to like overcome that, because at some point, they basically usually use that when they want to try to steer me away from actually understanding what the truth is. But I realize they push it even harder when I know I'm on the right path. So keep using he has no idea. But what they've been saying is like he doesn't realize there's a lot of people watching. And then the one thing I've also learned about, especially in, the Bible, it states that God will use specific human beings, specific energy beings on this planet. God will use them to be a part of a much bigger um um I guess I could say plan. So like, let's say there's a saying that like a true magician will basically have the audience watching one hand while the actual trick is happening or the true deception is happening in the other hand. So they're always like, "Oh, he don't realize there's a lot of people watching him. It's a lot of people watching him." But here's the thing. I believe in God, right? So if everyone is busy watching me, that means they're not watching themselves. That means they're so distracted from their own life to watch me, they won't even see what's about to come from behind them. If they're busy watching me, then they're not going to see what God already has in motion that is coming right behind them. So I took that in. I took it in. I said, you know what? Let them watch me. I'm gonna keep doing everything I've been doing. I like to eat out. People will say, "Aren't you worried about someone putting something in your food or you get sick?" I'm like, no. God knows I like to eat out, and God knows I'm aware of what people may do. Now they're like, "But what? Isn't that foolish though? Aren't you? Aren't you? Like that's like putting your hand over fire, knowing that it's hot and that you're gonna get burned." I'm like, no, that's a terrible example. Um, I don't know, but it's like, for me, I'm not going to fear death itself. I'm going to enjoy my cake. I'm going to make my cake. I'm going to eat my cake. I'm going to plant my seeds. I'm going to water my seeds. I'm gonna watch the I'm gonna watch the flowers grow, and I'm going to pick my flowers. Whatever they want to do to me, they can do it. But all I know is I'm going to maintain my peace every step of the way. And I can't do anything physical to anyone, especially without actual proof that I'm being physically threatened. So all I can do is share my story, my experiences, learn about this technology, expose the technology and their tactics. But I'm glad that there's other TIs out there who, who are actual like computer engineers or people who are actually former military soldiers who are being targeted, people who are former intelligence agents, and yeah, intelligence agents, and they're basically whistleblowing too. So I'm glad that I'm not the only one, because no matter no matter what they say, I'm not breaking no laws. I'm not doing anything against. I'm not breaking. I'm not taking. I'm not depriving anyone of their human rights, Bill of Rights, constitutional rights. That's all them. That's all them. Like, and you know what? I'm kind of almost hoping that God just go ahead and just order all the angels to pour out his seven vials of God's wrath all over the entire earth. Because just like in other past cataclysmic events that happened to humanity, there's a few. There's a few that survived. There's a few that survived. And they were the most natural living people, probably the most meekful people living. They weren't the ones, it wasn't the most advanced technologies advanced technological societies that survived. No. It was the ones that were basically hunter gatherer, agricultural based. They're the ones who actually lived very, very meek like, and they found ways to survive it all. But it was the ones that were basically all living through all this technology and studying and studying, the astrology and all these different things. But they had no real obedience to God, right? Because you always got to remember, the fallen angels are the one who came and taught man just about everything they know. The secrets, fallen angels came and taught, mankind the secrets that were out in heaven. This is at least based on from the Christian perspective, but yeah. So you know what? They gonna do what they gonna do, right? I gotta do what I gotta do. And you know what? I'm already prepared to lose people, things. I gotta walk like Jesus. Gotta walk like Jesus. Anyway, let me go and make my mother some juice. She want me to juice up some vegetables and some fruits for her. Can't nobody ever tell me that I don't love my mother. Can't for first and foremost, can't no one make me feel grief or shame about anything that I'm doing in my life, for two reasons. One, there's not that many people that knows what it feels like to be radiated and hit with energy particles that basically cause pain and make you sick, for and also changing You're like literally manipulating your emotions and changing the fluctuations of your your vibrational energy. Not many people know about how that feels. They don't know. They already sold themselves. They already sold themselves. So they're being spared or rewarded of not being tormented because they took on the role to actually further reduce other people's vibrations. They took on the role to actually be a basically a slave master, or someone to basically be employed to um, lower other people's vibration. Number two, um, I know I always have the best intentions at heart, and I'm always pretty apologetic. So there's nothing that no one, I mean no one, can tell me to make me feel bad about anything that I'm doing. I don't hurt no one, not intentionally, and I don't disrespect anyone. If you take it upon yourself to go into my mind to see what I may be thinking about someone, but I'm not intentionally going around spreading rumors or going around or telling people hurtful things about them. But you go into my mind to basically broadcast whatever I think, or to share, or even worse, even worse, code up an idea or code up a false memory implanted into my mind. And then when you send a trigger, like I guess a trigger, frequency or whatever, to make that false memory pop up into my mind, or the that idea to pop up into my mind, then all of a sudden you go, look, see, that's how he thinks. Because a lot of people don't realize you can code up these things and then transmit it as a it's like an energy. Like once they write up the code in the computer, it's then transformed into from like basically computer binary code, and then it's transformed into a energy frequency, and then they basically transmit it, and then your brain receives it like a FM radio receiver. It takes it, it resonates with it, and then now it's basically implanted. So regardless of what they do or say, I know I'm already above it. I'm already above them. And they could do whatever they want. But the one thing, they could cause me all the pain that they want. They could create whatever cancers. They could, do whatever they want. Because this is my flesh body. Spiritually, I beat them a long time ago. Spiritually, I'm already above them. I'm like I'm not even on this earth most of the time. That's how high my vibrations are. I'm not even on this earth. The way I can let things go so that it does not affect my peace, that type of energy usually takes most people a lifetime to learn. Some may call it being nonchalant, or not, they might say, oh, you don't care. It's not that I don't care. It's just that I can't allow myself to feel those lower vibrations. If I'm wrong about something, I'll say, okay, I'm wrong. I'll do better. I'll try to remember, or I'll take notes or something or whatever. Like I'll say this, like my girl, she got upset with me. Um, well, she got upset with me and disclosed to me on what was it, Sunday, that um that like we were supposed to go and meet up at a TI's house, out here, and it was supposed to be like a small little meeting or whatever, and I didn't necessarily call to like get all these details about everything that I know she normally would do, because she just likes to be prepared and planned out and things like that. Me, I'm such a person that just wings things. I like, I wing things. And it was like, she this is funny because when we were here, right, it was about maybe, I think, like what, 11:30, 12ish. She was like, I'm hungry. And then she gets up and go, and like, I think she told me she was hungry twice, right? And I remember on the second time I was like, well, there's food in the fridge, but then she's like, she doesn't necessarily make herself anything, you know. So then she's like, okay, so is there going to be food over there? Um, Whatever the case may be. And I remember saying, my mom, she wanted me to pick up, a case of water. So I was like, um, I'm gonna go and pick up a case of water. And then she said, "Ooh, I could come with you and get something, get something to eat." Blah blah blah. We go out there. She doesn't actually get herself something to eat while we go out. Even my mother, she was like, stop and get me some Popeyes." I was like, okay. So we go and get the case of water, get the Popeyes, and then we just come back. And then we leave right after that. Now she's like, okay, now I remember I asked, my TI friend, I was like, is there gonna be food there? She was like, no, if anything, just bring yourself whatever you want, blah blah blah. So, and I remember my girl asking me, um, is there what type of places are around over there? Like, what type of food places? I was like, well, it's a pretty busy area. There's usually a pretty good amount of spots open over there. So by that point, I'm assuming she just didn't want to eat whatever's in the house, right? So then when we get over to the area where my TI friends at, now she's kind of upset because she's like, I'm still hungry, blah blah blah. I mean, and she had warmed up a couple of little things, but not she didn't she didn't make anything. She didn't actually try to eat anything. She like ate small little things, but she didn't try to get any food. You know, I don't know, but long story short, um, she wanted me to feel like some type of emotion, like, because she felt like I didn't care that she ate, and I was just like, I can't allow myself to basically feel, or I can't allow myself to basically take on the responsibility of something like that when I know if I go in there and I see food, I can cook and prepare a meal that will fill me and satisfy me. I will eat enough so that I can actually get through whatever I need to get through so I'm not no longer hungry. Plus, it also helps to, cook at home anyway, because that way you're saving money. You're not necessarily going out to get things, whatever. And then a lot of times, nowadays you go out and get food from out somewhere, you're not even necessarily, you don't even really like be satisfied with what you got. I mean, I'm starting to notice that more often, but, we would, I would go out and get food from somewhere and I wouldn't even really be satisfied with what I ordered. But that was just one thing. Another thing was like how it's like it's like people don't just necessarily want you to just admit that you were wrong. They want to see you feel the emotion that you were wrong, or that you um it's like most people, they don't like just hearing you say that, well, I mean, they say sincere, but I'm actually starting to believe that it's not even really that, like, people want to actually, hear you say that you're sorry, and then actually, wait to see if you actually change or whatever. They want to feel your vibration go down, and you feel that shame, you feel that guilt. They want to feel you lower your vibration, so then, almost as if like they can feel better for themselves. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I mean, hell, I'm an open book. My mom, she has her ways. She has her ways. She's very um strong headed. I'll put it that way. But I'm not allowing, I'm like, I told myself a long time ago, I'm not allowing no one to bring my frequencies down anymore. I don't care who you are. We were born into this world alone. We will die in this world alone. We alone can manually control our frequency. They're using technology to try to control our frequency. You know, Anybody that you have a conversation with, if they know anything about linguistics, or the power of words, they'll try to control your frequencies that way. I'm not allowing no one to lower my vibrations, anyone. I don't care who you are. Because God wouldn't want me to lower my vibrations. So, all right. I'm done. Yeah, let me get up and go and take care of mom. And hopefully this provided some insight for some of you. And I'll make sure I include, I think it was about maybe three or four videos I had watched on this Loosh energy farm subject. All right, so take life one breath, one thought, one step, one day at a time. Peace.